Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday and welcome to Marketing Rapid Fire episode 10. This is by far been the most exciting episode to put together. I can't even explain the sort of just the rush of putting this event together. You guys, the entire community, you all have been so supportive, and I've really seen so much love. It's just been amazing. So welcome to the show. Super happy to have you all over here. As you all probably know, my name is Vanshika. I'm the host of this show, and I really look forward to bringing you another awesome episode. Since a lot of people I noticed are new here, I'm just quickly going to explain the concept of the show, and then the speakers can introduce themselves. So concept of the show is very, very simple. It's basically, we have these four awesome gentlemen with us today. They will be quizzed on three major kind of verticals, in which there are four questions, so totally 12 questions. The only catch is that they have a minute to answer, and there will be a buzzer that goes off really loud. So you all will hear it and know that the buzzer has gone off. That being said, I'm really excited to welcome all of the speakers. Thank you guys so much for taking our time on a Saturday and being here with us. If you guys could just take a quick minute and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you other than what we know already, that would be wonderful. So Bharat, if you want to go first.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started a company called Postergali in 2011. Exited the company in 2016. Currently, I'm building Rage Coffee with a goal to build a 500 crore ARR company by 2025, which will be digitally native, an FMCG company that is digitally native. Happy to be with these guys here and take a dig at all of what Vanshika has to offer.
That's awesome. Welcome. Hitarth, if you want to go next.
Thanks, Vanshika. Hey guys, Hitarth here. I'm from MoneyTap. MoneyTap is India's first app-based credit line. I've been in MoneyTap for the last 5 years. Started it as a founding member, been the first marketer at MoneyTap, and today I'm leading a team of around 12 people in the marketing team. We've been lucky to have a very nice growth journey, being from a product which was at zero to around 1,000 crore plus loan book today, and being the first ones in the category creator. So a lot of onus is on us to change the game, how things are played in the credit industry. So that's what we are doing, and hope to serve you all well.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming. JC, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, my name is JC. I'm founder of Fittr, one of the largest fitness communities in the country. We are solving the problem of obesity worldwide. So far, we have trained and transformed 150,000 plus people. Our community is 1 million strong. And we have done a collective revenue of around $15 million. Bootstrapped the company till $13 million. And, everything is organic. We don't do any marketing.
That is awesome. Awesome. Welcome to the show. Nishchal, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Thanks, Vanshika, for having me here. Everyone, my name is Nishchal. I've been a serial entrepreneur and a remote work evangelist for the better part of last 5 or 6 years now. Been traveling the world, been doing marketing with a lot of different companies, and I'm currently now leading marketing at Airmeet. So this platform that you guys are using right now, this is all ours. And whatever feedback you have, good, bad, ugly, all sorts of feedback, please send it across to me. I'm all ears. And looking forward to a great show today.
That's awesome. All right, cool. Let's get started. The first three questions are just kind of warm-up questions, so you get used to it. And usually around the fifth question is when the first buzzer rings, but let's see how this one goes. All right, so the first question comes from the audience. It's from Hari Ramalingam, and he asks, what is the biggest mistake you made in marketing and what has it taught you? Bharat, if you want to take it.
Sure. I think confusing branding with marketing early on in my career, and trying to do too many things rather than figuring out what works and then scaling that, rather than trying to do 10 things, do 2 of them and do it really well.
Okay, awesome. Hitarth, do you want to go for it?
Sure. So I think one of the major mistakes that maybe a lot of marketers make is think like a marketer, think from the business perspective, not think from the customer's perspective. So that's where I think in the initial days I was failing at. And once we realized that part, we changed our strategy, we changed the way we used to do things. And since then, it's been very good. So I think we need to put ourselves in the shoes of the customer. That's something that is sacrosanct. We can't go away from that. Yeah, that's one of the mistakes.
Awesome. JC, tell us from your experience.
I think it's not always you have to give people what they're looking for. Sometimes you give them things that they don't know could exist. Yeah. So it's both ways. Sometimes you give them what they are looking for. Sometimes you give them what they don't know exist, and then they fall in love with the things that exist. So just understanding the right balance of both is crucial.
Got it. Nishchal?
Biggest mistake, trying to replicate someone else's success. So as marketers, we often look at case studies, we look at examples, we look at, so Dropbox has the best referral program, company ABC has the best Facebook videos, they do really amazing website landing pages. We try to replicate their success and without really looking at what their market, what their customer, what their product and pricing really is. So the biggest mistake that I have personally made as a marketer is trying to look at other examples and say, how can we do this for our company? And that's the wrong, that's the worst line of positioning for you to ever take. And a lot of times as marketers, whoever is driving you, that could be your founders or CEOs or managers, they will tell you, how can we do what this other company did? And your job at that point is to say, no, we're not going to do what this other company did. We will see what they did and we'll see what we can do about it. But we won't do the exact same thing. So I think that's the biggest mistake that I've.
Wonderful. All right. So none of you buzzed the buzzer. So let's see how long that lasts. All right. The next question is again from the audience. It's from Praveen Agarwal. And he's asking, how does good marketing support or lead to fundraising / multiple rounds of fundraising?
Sorry, how does growth marketing?
Not growth marketing. He just asked, how does good marketing support the idea of fundraising and make you investor worthy?
I think marketing is, in the initial days, it has to be built in the product. It has to be a part of the product. I always propagate organic growth initially, at least. Of course, companies, not all kinds of companies can sustain organic growth for a long time, and they need inorganic ways to grow. But I think the first part that I would like to say is that fundraising and branding and marketing and all of that, brand building, marketing is business, fundraising is a separate kind of angle to business. So run your business well, fundraising will come. Like that's just, I don't think in my mind they're connected together at all.
Got it. Hitarth, go for it.
Sure. So MoneyTap recently raised around $70 million in Series B. And from my experience, I think a good marketing and investor relationship, if I have to quote it up simply, it would be product market fit. You need to find the right product, which is solving the right, whatever the problem is, and take it in the right manner to the user. If that chain is in place and you are oiling that engine well, taking care of it and taking care of the overall experience that's there, I think maybe there wouldn't be any chance why investors won't look at it from a positive angle. Definitely once that is done, the second lever would be focusing on your cost metrics, focusing how you can get to a unit economics profitability. That's something that would definitely break the deal. So that is what people should focus on from my opinion.
Got it. JC, go for it.
Right. In my opinion, I think being investor worthy or investment worthy is not something, it's not kind of a title that you try and aim for. What people should try and aim for is being market worthy. If you're market worthy, which means your solutions work, which means, people like your solution, you have a clear product market fit, and then it's a matter of taking that solution, which a select number of people are liking it, and taking it to the larger audience. That's about it.
Got it. Very interesting. Nishchal?
In a very direct manner, there are three things that can help with your next fundraise. And taking a step back and very clearly saying what do you need for your next good fundraise. A, you need a great brand perception. People should think about your company as a really good company. B, you need very strong numbers. If you can show a constant growth in your chart and you can show a hockey stick J curve kind of a growth, that's always going to be a plus factor for your side. And third, you need customer advocacy. What that means is your early adopters, your customers, your power customers, they should not be just your users, but they should also be your advocates and evangelists. All three things can be achieved by a good marketing function. You can build a great brand perception, you can show strong growth metrics, and you can build great customer advocacy. All three can be done by marketing, and that's the three ways marketing can help in your next fundraise.
That's awesome. Wonderful insights. I guess you guys are warming up now. So we're on question 3. Let's see how this one goes. What platforms, such as, the question was around LinkedIn, so you can answer LinkedIn or not. Does your organization use to generate engagement and presence with your users? Bharat, if you want to go for it.
For us, social works really well. So we're definitely very close and connected to our customers there. But beyond that, I think for me, it's about the entire life cycle of the customer. So, for the first time they engage with your brand, if I talk about the digital presence, what do they feel about the brand? What kind of messaging is, driving their behavior, so to speak? And then can you get, after a purchase or at the time of the purchase, can you handhold their journey? After the purchase, can you then, be in touch with them directly? For me personally, I am in touch with my customers. There's an automated real-time NPS scores that go out. There are multiple feedback loops we have created. We're in touch with them through WhatsApp, through SMS, non-intrusive completely, but still connected with them basis their, liking. So yes, I think all of these are there.
Yay! This was much faster than the other episodes, which always makes me so happy. But okay, if you want to complete your thought, you can. But that's what the buzzer sounds like.
No, I was just.
Cool. Hitarth, go for it.
Sure. So I think engagement should be platform agnostic. Whether you are doing it on social or doing it via email, SMS, or communication channels, or whether it is in-app experience, if you understand your customer well and you know, okay, this is what the pain point is, this is how I want to address the angle that I want to communicate, then the engagement would fairly be high. And one of the examples, if I would like to quote over here, would be around TikTok. Before it got banned, MoneyTap was trying to create TikTok related native videos. And we saw good success. It was like really the engagements were off the charts. So that's one of the testimony that if you speak to users in their own language with the right message, engagement would be high.
Awesome. JC, go for it. I don't think we can hear you.
For me personally, engagement is all about awareness.
I think there's a lag in the system.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
For me, I think engagement is all about awareness.
Oh no, I think there's a connection issue.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it shows
Is it
speed
better
connection.
now?
Connection. Nishchal, if you want to take it, JC can join back
is it-
when he's. It's still breaking up. It's still breaking. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. JC, do you want to just try logging back in on your link and joining back in? Maybe there's a connection issue.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I think for me personally, engagement is all about awareness and not necessarily, again, hammering the same point again and again. It's not necessarily what customers are looking for, because sometimes customers are wrong too. If there's a pressing issue which needs awareness. And so it's all about awareness. And if people are getting aware on that issue, we just have to hammer the same point across and across, that people either get the answers they're looking for, or maybe you're doing it wrong. So for me, awareness, engagement, they go side by side, hand in hand.
Got it. Nishchal?
Yeah, I think these three people have covered all the major grounds, which is in terms of channel, you look at social media and email. In terms of content, you give them what really speaks to them in their language, in their time zone, and also engagement and awareness go hand in hand. So I'm going to take a step back and say something that's more like a shameless plug. We really believe in customer advocacy and customer engagement in a very personalized one-on-one manner. And to do that, we use this amazing platform called Airmeet itself. So we usually bring people on board for events and discussions and webinars and workshops and roundtables. And what we do there is we have product managers, growth people, marketing people, everyone together on different social lounge tables to interact with them in different capacities. So we also do a lot of case studies on Airmeet itself, and that helps us expose not just the product and the platform to them, but also look at what they're actually saying and not just typing, right? So for us, customer advocacy, engagement, and awareness is very much one-to-one, and it's not really automated in scale at this point. We're really focused on talking to each customer and looking at everything that they have to say. Done.
Got it. Okay. Let's move on to the second segment, which is going to be around the topic of data and analytics. So the first question that goes out to Bharat is, what are the top 3 core metrics that your business measures, and why does it matter? Like, why does that metric matter to your business?
The first metric that we track the most is top line, which is revenue. For me personally, that's one of the biggest drivers in our industry, in our business. That's a direct, reference to how well we are doing. The second is repeatability, repeat purchases. And these are not wizards. These are not all those fancy, vanilla metrics. These are metrics which really talk about the core of the product and the company and the brand, which is how many people are coming back and buying more. And the third, I think, at this point in time for us, would be I think also throughout the journey of a company, I think that I really like to track is the bottom line, which is how much money we're making. So if everything falls in place, if your business has the potential to scale and explode and whatever, J-curve, this, that, all the fancy terms you can use, but if you're ultimately not making money, very few people will be able to kind of see through your vision ultimately. There become phases though.
Got it. Go for it, Hitarth.
Sure. So this measuring 3 different metrics, this has changed over time in MoneyTap. But in general, revenue that you have from your customers, your CAC and the volume that you are acquiring on the your CAC and the volume at which you are acquiring the users, that is the second part. And the third part is your funnel health, because that's very important. If your targeting is right, then your funnel health should be in place. It should be under certain range. And that shows that, okay, even customers are getting a decent experience. You're not screwing up on your acquisition or on your customer experience. So these are the top 3 metrics that we guys measure.
Awesome. JC?
Right. For us, it's always number of new enrollments. Second thing is community growth, and the third thing is customer growth. And these things are important because, of course, you have to have a top line, you have to have profits to sustain. The second thing is, again, you have to measure the community growth. We measure it through different parameters, DAU, MAU, and time spent on the and the third part is I just mentioned that.
We have an extra guest on the show, it seems. We didn't plan for a 4th guest, but now that we have a 4th guest.
Yeah. Reality of working remotely, right? So you're working from home, you get all sorts of guests.
Yes, we would love to have a dog on the show. I mean, it would make people watch this. I'm totally in for that if you want to bring your dog on the show.
Yep. Next time the dog can be the 5th speaker.
Yeah.
Let's see what answers we get from there.
JC, I think you're hung again, but I think you completed your thought, if I'm not wrong. Do you want to add on?
Can you guys hear me? I'm just getting disconnected again and again. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. So like I said, we measure the top line revenue, and then the second thing is community growth and engagement, and third thing is NPS to see if we are having those network effects, and these three things are very, very important for us.
Got it. Nishchal?
Three primary growth metrics: market growth, business growth, product growth. Market growth is in terms of users, and at this point, Airmeet is looking at the number of users that attend an Airmeet, the number of attendees that we get really. So that's our market growth. Business growth is number of active customers and paying customers and their combination. And third is product growth. Product growth is really about how actively is the product being used. So for a product like ours, you will see that there are 100 things that a potential attendee or a potential host like yourself can do here, right? For example, it's been 20 minutes yet, and you haven't really run a poll on Airmeet yet. So that's the product growth metric, right? So if you run a poll right now, it improves my metrics as well. So product growth is really like our number one priority at this point. We're trying to make sure that we get as many people to use the individual aspects of the product as much as possible. Once that happens, we will move our focus to market growth, which is getting scale. And then once that is achieved, we move our focus to revenue growth or business growth. So that's the 3 layers of growth.
Okay, we fixed the not doing a poll part. So we started a poll. It's the first time I'm doing it on Airmeet. So that's exciting. Thanks for bringing that out. Awesome. Okay, next question again goes back to Bharat. How will BTL marketing change in the post-corona era? And how would you adjust your marketing or marketing plan that was pre-corona in the post-corona world?
So the first part is the BTL part?
Yes, like how will it change and how have you adjusted your marketing accordingly?
Sure. I think a lot will change. I certainly can see that a lot of companies that were not willing to change with their marketing structures and with their outreach programs, with their kind of channels of marketing, they have finally realized that now is the time. And these are companies that probably because of leadership, probably because they did not understand it, or they were doing very well in certain other areas of business. They did not focus on digital much. So I'm definitely seeing a massive shift to digital spends. With regards to offline, ATL, BTL, all kinds of offline activities, I think that they're in for a very rough, ride, because once people start, once brands and companies start getting used to performance marketing, it's hard to go back.
Yeah, totally.
You realize that ATL, BTL is always great for branding, but then once you've not done it, till time you don't do digital, you don't know how it works. So it's addictive in a way for a company.
Very true, very true. Hitarth?
Sure. So Vanshika, we haven't done any kind of an ATL yet. It's been 5 years. From day one, we were doing performance marketing, but I think that a lot of things from an overall strategy post-COVID would be focused on organic growth plus building up new products that would be adopted much faster. So these are the two things that would be, I think, that would change overall. But I don't think I can comment on the ATL part.
Do you want to add in on the BTL part though and explain maybe a little bit?
Right. So what happens is, I think a lot of acquisition via BTL that used to happen with credit cards, with opening of bank accounts and all. So a lot of this is not going to be there of what it used to be pre-COVID, because people would be apprehensive of physical touch points. And
Right.
Overall in the banking industry, people are looking for digital solutions. So that would be impacted.
Got it. JC?
So we haven't done any sort of marketing in the last 4.8 years, and so I have no clue about it.
Got it.
But we do rely highly on the network effects which are built in through the community, and in future we might actually explore further into engaging community members, probably micro influencer marketing, but that's something which we look for. But as of now, we haven't done any sort of marketing.
Got it. Nishchal?
So I've been talking to a lot of marketers over the last few months, and one thing that's entirely the common theme everywhere is that marketing in 2020 and beyond is going to change completely. Mm-hmm. And when I say completely, it's because all the existing theories, understandings, budgets, and channels might get completely overhauled, right? So and you're seeing a lot of upheaval in not just offline but also in digital channels, in terms of a lot of major brands and enterprises moving away from Facebook advertising. That's happening in the West right now. It still hasn't reached India, but it will very soon. And once that happens, you will see a drastic drop in your CAC rates and your CPC and CPLs, unless the platforms artificially keep the rates high. So that is one thing. The next thing is what COVID has really exposed here is that most companies don't really have an identity or a brand voice or anything to say. All they can say in the email is, we are with you, we feel your problems. And that's all they're saying about COVID, right? So companies really need to find their voice. And going forward, a lot more customers would be engaged with the company that they can relate to. And that's been a trait of all millennials so far, but we'll see a lot more of that happening. So, yeah.
Got it. All right. Interesting. Next question goes to Bharat again. So brand building and customer lifetime value are two topics that are very commonly correlated. I mean, they're very proportional, as we all know. How would you quantify this relationship of like brand and customer lifetime value? And if you can share some examples of how you're doing it at your company, that would be great.
I think you ultimately realize that with now over 500 years of marketing and aggressive marketing in the communist, after the communist era, and now in the hardcore capitalist era, you realize that brand is a brand is a feeling, and that feeling is a kind of a seed that is planted in the mind of the consumer. That feeling evokes certain actions and emotions. Once those actions and emotions start to trigger somebody, the mind of the consumer, repeats and loyalty and all of those metrics come into place. And that's where the LTV also comes into play. So I think brand building, if you do a lot of brand building things right, if you touch upon those topics in the right manner, basis a lot of points, your LTV will be kind of, decently well, but it's hard to kind of put a function or formula to it, because brand building is very, very, it's a time consuming job. It has a lot going on with it.
Got it. Hitarth?
Right. So with MoneyTap, there is an inherent behavior of a repeat usage, because it's a credit line. It's not a one-time engagement with users. So what we have seen is that once a user is onboarded, and if the onboarding experience is well, if post onboarding the user is taken care of, then most of our users stick on the platform. Then it's only a job of, let's say, keeping the promises that you made when you acquired the user. So I think that's the whole setup. And if this is done right, if you are doing and meeting your promises with which you acquired a user, there should not be a very strong reason, unless things change in the market, for users to bounce off.
Got it. Very interesting. JC?
Right. I think it depends on the product that you're offering, depends on what people are really looking for. Is it a long-term solution? It's a short-term solution. For example, in our case, people are looking to get fit. We don't want people to come back to us again and again, because that would mean that somehow the solutions are not working. And despite that, we have 45% returns on a monthly basis, and on a long time frame basis. So as you increase the time period, the retention number goes up to 80%. So on an immediate basis, retention is around 45%. And if you take it to 12 to 24 months, it almost jumps as high as 80%. And in a 4-year time period, that's almost turning to 90-95%. So it's because fitness is a lifelong commitment, and sometimes people have goals which keep on getting bigger and bigger. Sometimes they also go sideways, get off track, in which case they always come back. So in our case, LTV is kind of depending on the time period that we are referring to.
Got it. Very interesting. Nishchal?
Yep. Let me flip the question on its head. What is LTV? LTV is essentially 3 things. It's revenue, it's retention, it's referral. So if I can get good revenue out of my customer, if I can continue getting revenue out of my customer for a long time, and I can also get my customers to refer other customers to my business, then that's what increases my LTV. All those 3 things can be done very easily if you have a great brand in place. A great brand allows you to not only upsell your product, but also charge a premium for it. I have 2 products, both do the same thing, but one charges more money. Why? Because the brand perception is high. Second, a customer is thinking of leaving my company and going to some other company. The only reason that they might stick with us if everything else remains the same is probably the brand perception. I don't want to leave an Apple and go to some other Samsung, right? So that's also brand perception. And the third, which we observe a lot in Airmeet specifically, is advocacy and referrals. You can go to Twitter and you can search Airmeet, and you will see hundreds of thousands of customers just sharing screenshots of their recent events and simply saying, this is an amazing product. And that in itself is LTV for me, right? Because like I said, LTV is three things: revenue, retention, and referral. All those three things are happening because
Very interesting insights. All right, so we're at the halfway mark, and like I told you backstage, but now for the audience, we're going to swap the order around. So Bharat is going to go last, and Nishchal is going to go first. So we're going to swap the order alphabetically, and we're going to do the next 6 questions that way. Nishchal, I think you're perfect for this question, so it's a good luck by chance. So online and offline, right? Like marketing happens on either channel, right? How do you account for offline, non-campaign, non-attributable things to your marketing efforts? So, for example, like someone attending a webinar, like how do you attribute that into something? If you can explain in your use case, that would be wonderful.
Right. So I'll fix a couple of things in that first. First of all, we don't live in a world of offline, online anymore. We are in an omni-channel world. Everything is interconnected. Your interaction with a customer in a store is as important as the interaction with that they might have on your e-commerce website. So it's all omni-channel. That's part one. Part two is whenever someone tells you it's not trackable or we can't track the success of this offline campaign, just tell them they don't know their job properly, because there are ways to track everything in today's world, right? Just to give you practical examples, there are QR codes, there are bit.ly links, there are coupon codes. All of these are different ways that you can track the success of an offline campaign vis-a-vis an online version of it, right? That's why omni-channel is the keyword here. There are companies like Unicommerce who are in the business of creating omni-channel products for e-commerce companies. And so for example, companies like Puma, they've got hundreds of thousands of stores across the world, but they also have lots of e-commerce websites, e-commerce stores from Amazon, Flipkart, Paytm, all these different platforms. So they do integrate all this data together to build a campaign that gives them performance across all metrics. So it can be done. There are different ways, like I just said, QR codes, bit.ly links, coupon codes, unique URLs, traffic analysis, churn analysis, all those things you can do. And then the last goal is, the simplest way is to ask them in a form, how did you find us, or did you attend any of our events? And they will always tell you, I found you on this webinar. So those are indirect ways to quantify, but it's not 100% accurate, but it's going to be there.
Got it. JC? I think you're muted. Go for it. I think there's a network lag again.
Yeah.
It's that same issue.
It's those red bars. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a network issue. Do you want to just try logging back in and we can fix that?
Yeah, that's how every piece of technology works.
Is it
just
fine now?
refresh.
Okay. Yeah. So I online is just the new offline.
We can see you, but we can't hear you right now. Try refreshing it. I'll loop you back in on the question. Hitarth, do you want to go for it till then?
Sure. So everything that Nishchal said, I'll just add a couple of my practical learnings from that. So whenever, let's say if you have done something on an offline side and you see the numbers change in your funnel, you see there is a kind of like a delta that's come in the system. So that's where you correlate the activities that you have done. So that's one part. Apart from that, especially in Facebook marketing, what happens is, let's say in case you have an offline store and people are converting over there, so you can upload a list of your offline users whom you have converted and upload that into Facebook and figure out that what has been the effect of your campaigns that you ran digitally on bringing users to that store. So that's kind of like a long journey to track, but it's still tracking then no tracking. So yeah.
Got it. Bharat, do you want to go for it?
Yeah, I think it depends on a lot of factors, right? Of the stage of the company, what markets they're serving, what is the distribution like. Yes, we are living in a very omni-channel world, but 99% of the offline marketers I would deal with, it's very hard to get the right kind of analytics like we're used to. So the first answer is that, we would all love to live in a world where we could track everything, but that's not possible. That's not how the traditional guys are used to. Second thing is, it matters a lot on the journey of the company, on the stage of the company, and the markets they are serving. The third thing, and the very simple answer to this is sometimes you got to do things that are not trackable, and that's what it is. You have to do so many outreach programs, for example, where you will not be able to track anything. But yes, there are ways to do it, and a smart marketer would always kind of figure that out, even if it's not like the exact ROI that I will, know. But I get the sense, the pulse of that campaign.
Got it. Tracy, do you want to chime in? Did you hear the question?
Can you please repeat the question once?
Okay, so basically the question was, online and offline is happening in 2020. How do you attribute or get metrics for your offline campaigns, which could be harder than an online campaign?
Right. Okay, so we don't do any kind of marketing, be it online, offline. But whatever we do, everything is online. And I personally feel that online is just convenient offline, which means that, we are trying to recreate the emotions, we are trying to recreate that personalization, the feels which you get in an offline channel, only in a more convenient manner. For example, Airmeet is a perfect example of, trying to replicate a perfect offline event, right? So similarly, what you do in online marketing is just you are trying to replicate offline marketing, but in a more convenient manner, and it can be tracked much more efficiently. So I put more efforts into an online marketing channel rather than offline, if I would.
Got it. All right. So now we're at the last segment. So this is the time for everybody that's here with us today to start putting in your questions into the questions option on the right-hand side, because we will get one or two questions answered depending on whatever seems the most appropriate. That being said, let's continue on. Next question is from Gupta Boda, and he asks, how do you define your USPs when you're on the road to product market fit?
Is that mine?
Yes. Or it's the reverse way now. So we started with Bharat, now it's you first and then everyone back in reverse alphabetical.
Got it. So I think the question is USPs during the product market stage, right? So product market fit is essentially achieved at a point where you know that there's a segment of the market, there's a segment of the customer persona that has unrevocable, there's without doubt a very significant need that gets solved by your product, and that can only be verified by one of three ways. Either they are very strong advocates of your product, they go out and they shout from the rooftops about your product and how much it helps them, or they give you all the money that you need in the world. So they tell you, take all my money, take whatever money you want to take from me, but just solve my problem, right? Or third, they come back and they tell you, there are these three things that if you fix these three things, I'm going to be your fan for life. So if they start giving you that feedback, and that feedback really, really counts in the customer, in the product market fit stage. So that feedback rarely comes from customers, because most customers really don't care about your company or your product, right? They just care about their problems, their needs. If a customer is going to come back and say, I still haven't solved my problem, if you can do these three things and still fix my problem, that's a very big validation that you're almost there, right? So those are the three things that you can probably track.
Got it. JC, go for it.
Right. So in my opinion, I think you build your USP by first understanding the problem, and then all these sub-problems attached with the problem itself. For example, losing weight. A lot of people are looking for it, but there are many sub-problems attached with losing weight. People lose weight and then they bounce back. So how do you create a solution which just doesn't work for 3 months, but ends up, helping people for a lifetime? So you have to inculcate behavioral change, right? So you understand the problem, which is weight loss, but the bigger problem is behavioral change. So when you understand the problem in depth, and when you understand all aspects of the problem, you end up creating solutions which ultimately become your USP. So it's not just about understanding a problem, it's about understanding problem in depth.
Wow, very well answered. Very interesting. Hitarth?
Sure. So whatever Nishchal and Jitendra said, I think I would just add on top of that, because that's definitely required to understand the consumer problem and find the gaps that you can solve. Once you have done that, for a product market fit, you can just run a lot of experiments. You can create a lot of dummy pages, you can create dummy apps, and you can drive some traffic over there, both organically as well as inorganically. And that's something that we did in MoneyTap. So before launching our app officially, we created an app, ran a lot of experiments on that, took it to the user, showed them the demo, asked them to play with it. And that's how we understood that, okay, this is not how a user behaves on the UX. This is not how I'm solving a problem at that point of stage. And we totally scrapped that app after the experimentation was done. We rebuilt the final app that is there today. So you need to run a lot of experiments during your finding out the product market fit stage. So that's what I would suggest.
Got it. Bharat?
I think one thing that we all talk about a lot is PMF, which is product market fit. But I think there's another layer to it, which is market product fit, which a lot of people and founders especially get, so busy and so narrow-minded while building their businesses. They forget the main problem statement. The market evolves. So you were here when you started building the problem, and now 2 years, 3 years down the line, the market has evolved, but you're still trying to figure out the solution for the problem that no longer exists or has been served by other competitors of yours. So I think market product fit is also very essential. The second thing that I would like to track with in my business specifically are the cost structures. Have I stabilized my cost structures over a long period of time? For example, let's say 12 months to 24 months to 36 months. And are they getting any better? Because I think that's the real tangible, value that I see in, basically customers understanding there's a real need for your product.
Correct. Absolutely. Very, very well said. So I think you guys have kind of chimed into the next question, but I'll still ask it again just for more clarity. So Nishchal, this was out to you first. Can you explain the exact strategies that Airmeet used to capture its critical mass for beta users? Like, what did you do to get your first, if you want to even share like what beta was for you, was it 100, 2,000, 10,000, whatever that is? How did you do it? What was the exact strategy you used?
Yep. So not going to share the exact strategy. I'm going to share the secret here. I'll give you a framework. I'll give you a framework, and you can decipher from the framework what really happened at Airmeet. Okay. Again, it was a 3-step plan. First is about seeding the right community. So you pick one community that you feel is going to be your early adopters, your evangelists, the one who will see the most value from it. This is not the long tail of customers. This is like a very small set of early adopters that you see. So for us, that was entrepreneurs, startups, and the VC community. So we really started off our entire beta program and beta testing with this community of startups and entrepreneurs. And that's why you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs in the Indian international ecosystem. They know about Airmeet, but a lot of marketers don't know about Airmeet yet because we haven't yet reached that point, right? So that was one. Number two was we immediately had a landing page where we were able to capture signups, and all we had to do was take them through a demo, take them through the product experience, spend as much time as possible in talking to the customer and not letting them use the product as is, right? Because you have to observe at every point, not just how they're using it, but why are they using it? What are they thinking? What are they saying? What are they feeling? So what is their response for every stage of the use of the product? So that's the two things. And third, in terms of number, let me be honest here. We never expected more than 500 to 1,000 odd people to, be in our beta program. We have close to 20,000 odd people. And that happened because of COVID, right?
Just another one.
One more zero, right? So, and that literally changed the dynamics altogether for us. So essentially the major point here is that, you look at a very small segment of population as your beta customers, and you don't just give the product to them to use and look at numbers and analytics later. You get involved with them at every step of the way. Spend time with them as if they're your girlfriends or your wives, right? Spend as much time as you can with them. So that's the whole point.
Got it. Go for it, JC.
Well, in our case, it was, the TAM is huge. Roughly 2.2 billion people are obese, and they're looking for, fitness solutions. So we were lucky that way. Now, in my case, and I've been telling this to everybody, that we started off accidentally, where I was just trying to help some of my friends get fit. So I had trained roughly 200 people over WhatsApp for free. And when that worked, we moved to Facebook. When that worked, we moved to website. When that worked, we moved to an app. So it was a gradual evolution. It was not something that we had decided on day one that this will someday be a $10 million or $15 million company. It just happened gradually. What we had was a perfect solution, which was working for people. People were talking about it. And so we had the network effects going for us. So we were, you can say that we were, and we still are the best at what we do. And so, it's a completely different scenario in our case.
That's awesome. I'm sure a lot of people were waiting to hear this story. So thanks for sharing. Hitarth, go for it.
Sure. So I would suggest something very off track. And that's what we did at MoneyTap as well. The first 100 customers whom we acquired them by doing face-to-face selling. That's what we did. We just went out in the field. We tried to sell the product, and we had to reach out to so many people, and they just shunned us away. But that's important in the life of figuring out that what do you want to communicate on digital media, so that your next 1,000 customers will click on your ad. The next 1,000 customers will hear your digital pitch and consider your product. So that's very important in the first phase of your of you taking your product to the market. So that's what we did. It took us almost a month to acquire those 100 customers, and within a week we acquired the next 1,000 customers digitally.
Wow.
That's how I think our journey has been, and it's the hard way, but it'll definitely reap benefits in the long term. That's what I would suggest for new products.
Very interesting. Bharat, what's your take?
Yeah, I think they have mentioned a lot of points, but I think one thought that I leave everyone with is that initially it's cool and good to do things that don't scale. And if you understand this, then you can apply this to your product. For example, picking up the phone and calling people, like, everyone mentioned the same thing, but the bigger theme is that do things that you would possibly, not do when the company reaches a certain milestone. So calling, getting people, one-to-one interactions, a lot of inorganic, like, reaching out to your friends and family through your networks, building in some loops that can work on their own initially, but kind of are not automated. We, for example, do this, and I'll give me more than a minute for this.
Go for it. You still have 4 seconds by the clock, but I'll cancel.
I know. But this is interesting. I think what, for example, we did initially was we started, posting screenshots of our reviews. And this is like screenshots which are completely, written mails, long emails about the product. And, for in the last, 1.5 years, we have now had like more than 400 screenshots on our Instagram. That there could be no bigger validation. Those are things that, possibly things that we don't do now. In fact, we do one in like 1 out of 100 maybe, right? But those are the things that you need to do to initially.
Got it. Very interesting, because I'm going to actually flip the question. The next question was a flip on this. So Nishchal, a question to you is, as marketing scales, right, you need processes, procedures, and a very strong tech stack to support your MarTech and to support all the initiatives you're doing. What do you use at Airmeet, and can you explain how you use it for your marketing efforts?
That's a very detailed and extensive question, because, like I said, as the company evolves into different phases, the tools will keep changing. So I don't think this is a stack of sorts. I do believe that HubSpot creates like an underlying layer for a lot of companies out there. But of course, there are lots of other specific tools that you can use. I think I saw a question around content marketing as well. If I talk about content marketing specifically, it starts with research. And for research, BuzzSumo becomes a really important tool. I think I can't recommend it more than enough. Then you also have other smaller tools like Canva and Grammarly. So all those tools create a long part of your entire funnel. You've got email marketing tools like Mailchimp out there. So you've got analytics tools like GA and Hotjar and Data Studio. So a bunch of different tools. Like all in all, I think within the marketing team, we've got close to 25 tools right now. So there's no really stack of sorts, but you definitely need like a really great project management tool. You need a CRM tool. You need one sort of A/B testing landing page builder tool as well. So for that, we're using WordPress, but you do have extensive resources out there that you can leverage as well. And all in all, I think that this tools itself will evolve as your need evolves. So there's really no single answer to what your tool stack should be like, but I think these are the most common tools that everyone uses.
I'm excited to see what the other 3 say, because you've taken so many names, but they're all like checking them off in their head. JC, what do you use? Tell us.
Well, there's a lot of tools, and in fact, the bigger you grow, you can rely on more professional suits, compared to what you use to like free softwares and all those things. I wouldn't go specifically into what sort of tools we are using, but the fact that every company goes through 3 different phases. You have nailing phase, scaling phase, and you have sailing phase, which you rarely see these days. So most of the companies are typically in nailing or scaling phase, right? And so for any company to make sure that they continue to thrive in a very dynamic market, it's important that you have a bunch of people who are always nailing the product again and again and again. And there are always people who are taking the core product offering and scaling it. and they both require a different sort of people and different sort of dynamics within the teams. So accordingly, you have to choose your tools. For example, my tools are completely different from the content team.
What you use? If
Sorry.
you're comfortable, do share what you use.
I don't use any tools, but my content team uses large variety of tools, and I don't even know the names. I think and we have a big content team. I think around 20 people.
Got it. Hitarth, share some tools that you use at MoneyTap.
Absolutely. So I have a huge list. One of the major things that you want to track, and specifically for app marketing, would be the measurement piece. And for measurement, we use AppsFlyer, which is basically telling you that where your installs are coming in, which media sources are giving you the best ROI. So that's one. And there are a lot of different tools around the same use case, which is AppSolar, Branch, Localytics, and a lot of them. Secondly, we track our organic numbers. We track our organic growth and competitive intelligence by using another tool called thetool.io. And there is another tool called AppsFollow. So these two help you keep a track on your competition and where your app is standing in the organic journey. Apart from that, your web tracking can easily happen on Google Analytics as a free version. If you want to go for a paid version, there are a lot of different tools for that as well. Plus, I'll just extend it. Plus, people also use, and we have used it in the past, a lot of visual tools to figure out how your UX is doing. So a lot of tools like Hotjar, they will tell you that, okay, what is the kind of click rates that are coming on a particular screen? What could be a kind of like a blocker over there? And a lot of your social tools are also there to figure out that, okay, what kind of your response is coming? How is your social team doing? How's your share of voice doing? Is your fan page doing well or not? Is the content good or not? So all of these tools have been there since ages. Some of them are Connect Insights, Talkwalker, Social Beats. A lot of them are there. And lastly, I would say, as a performance marketer, this does not come under the part of the tool, but it should definitely be a part of your marketing stack, which should be a Facebook SDK as well as your Firebase SDK. So these two are there. Then I think you should start your app marketing journey from a performance side.
Anybody that has listened to this, between the three of them, I think you've got a good set of at least 20 to 30 tools. Can't wait to hear what Bharat has to say.
I have nothing left to say.
Sorry, Chakko.
But yeah, I believe that I don't want to personally get lost with the tools. I like to usually keep a specific tool for a specific purpose, and I don't overextend my objectives when I measure. I think social media analytics within, let's say, for example, if you're running Facebook ads, it tells you quite a bit about your website, landing pages, about your website, how it's doing. Always been using Hotjar and Crazy Egg and GA. I think GA does a lot of things very beautifully. When it comes to content piece, I think there's so many tools that I've used over the last 10 years, but the ones that have kind of stuck with me are probably going to be Mailchimp. I think I'm a big fan of the company, of the power that tool has. A recent one is Privy. Privy is for collection of emails, and you have a bunch of things. Beyond that, a lot of social commerce tools, video tools. I can't do it. But we do use a bunch of tools that all of them mentioned here. But I personally would recommend people to use these tools if they can dedicate time to this, and they can make use of the data to form some actionable points. Do something about the data that they're seeing.
Got it. Very interesting insights. So I ran a quick poll because I saw our fifth guest joined us in the middle of the show, JC, and 67% of the people said that the fifth guest should join us on the show. So if the fifth guest is around, we would love to have him or her on the show. Seems to be a crowd popular favorite. So we're back. We're almost at the end. Last two questions to go before the show ends, and I pick up audience questions. So Nishchal, if I gave you $100 and you had to split up your marketing spend according to the IDA model, so attention, interest, desire, action, how would you split up that $100?
I have 5 reverse questions for you. What stage of the company are we at? What is the objective? What are the KPIs? It's not a magic sauce, right? It's not a magic sauce.
Assume whatever stage you're at right now.
Right now, I would put all my 100 rupees into awareness and acquisition. That's the first 2 stages. And by awareness, I don't mean something that just gets a word out there, but actually that attracts people to the product and the platform. So if we can get more and more people exposed to the product at this to the company, that's what the 100 rupees should be invested towards. And that's like an all or nothing kind of a game, right? So either you can play the average game and get and also expect average results out of it. So you say, I will distribute my budget across 10 different categories, and I hope that one of these really work. And then in the end of the day, I'll get 10% ROI from my investment. Or I go into the all or nothing game and I say all money goes into one bucket and we'll either go home or we go big. That's the only scenario here right now. But of course, there are 10 different parameters that go into this, right? So this is just like a fun question.
Got it. JC, what would you do?
Yeah, content and awareness, hands down. I mean, we anyways don't do any marketing, and I'm so sorry I keep telling the same thing again and again. So for us, it's very easy. You know, the market is big. People need to be aware of, about fitness and what fitness should be, and long-term commitment, behavioral changes, all these things. And for that, it's very important for us to raise awareness. I think for now, awareness is one of the biggest problems that we have in this country, and we want to solve for that.
Got it. Hitarth, what would you say?
Right. So we do 100% of our budget spends on performance. We don't do anything on the brand building. And with performance, when I speak about performance marketing, the only thing that comes first in mind is action. Everything else is kind of like a baseline that you already set up for that action to happen. So a lot of our, I would suggest, if I have to divide my $100, 95% would go into action point, and the rest 5% would go into figuring out everything else.
Got it. Bharat, what would you do with $100?
For us, I think that model is more relevant for an app company. If you see, it was designed for an app product, for a software product, specifically for an app. I think, if I remember it correctly. For us, I think it's very different. We are e-commerce. We are in an FMCG hardcore consumer business. Awareness leading to no revenue is zilch, is bad money. It's money spent, in an unwise manner. Just awareness, a chunk of marketing dollars goes into awareness and goes into performance. That split for us right now is about 90 to 10 in brand, 90 in performance and ROI driven marketing. Beyond that, I think when you talk about retention, our business, again, it's very interlinked to awareness at our stage right now. For a lot of companies, I think 1,500 crores, about 1,000 crores, it would be very different. But for us, I think everything starts with acquisition. Retention is the key, but if none of this works, then there is no revenue. So getting awareness is money very unwisely spent.
Got it. Okay, interesting. Last question, and probably the most delightful one. Nishchal, what do you do to delight new users and recurring users so that they don't drop off or disengage?
One answer. We send them a GIF. We send them very funny GIFs. So if you sign up for Airmeet today, the first GIF you'll get is that of minions dancing and celebrating, hey, we're happy you're here, that kind of a thing. So if the question is all about delight, then the one thing that we do as much as we can is using as much funny GIFs as possible, because it says a lot without really saying anything. Yes. So social media is full of GIFs, emails is full of GIFs. And wherever we, at times, if we do screw something up, we always say sorry with a GIF. So I think that's the only thing that we can do to make people less angry about it.
Love it. JC, what do you do? You're muted.
Sorry. So I think for us, the most important aspect of the user journey is, they must feel safe and comfortable, because most of the times, people have been through similar kind of weight loss and, fitness solutions, and they ended up getting cheated. So they are welcome into a community which is extremely supportive. It's a safe, judgment-free space, and everybody is super supportive. So if you went and posted a message, "Hey guys, I'm Vanshika. I plan to lose 3 kg." You'd see 1,000 odd comments, people wishing you best of luck. And I think that itself is a great motivator. We welcome people into the community, and that's how it all starts.
All right, awesome. Hitarth?
Sure. So we have a whole setup already there in place, and that's more towards the whole app journey that is there. So at every single point, in case we find that user is feeling and a user is feeling digressed and maybe he might drop off, there is an automated communication that is in place to take care of that particular emotion. Still, we do see drop-offs, and for that, what we do is we take care of our communication plans via email, SMS, and as an additional responsibility to get the users back into the funnel game. Again, I'll take a step back because it's more of and it's kind of like linked. It's finance, and finance is usually complicated and difficult for general janta to understand or to even pay attention to. So a lot of our effort goes into making content that's interesting at top of the funnel itself, so that a user who follows through is motivated enough to go through the journey. So that's where a lot of our creativity goes, and our team ships around 40 different creatives every month.
Wow.
And that's like a humongous number across platforms with different concepts, and we just have one product. So one product being sold almost 1.2 times in a month in different angles. That's what we do.
Wonderful. Bharat?
We're in a consumables business. Our delight is the product itself. When people have Rage Coffee, with the kind of differentiated product offering it is, people go wow. And when they have our products, the flavors they have, and because it's significant difference, they tend to be attaching. They tend to attach themselves to the product in ways they don't know where, but we know what we're doing to them in terms of the entire funnel we've created for them as through the journey. I would like to go a little bit at the edge and tell you that we are customer obsessed. I am personally customer obsessed. I'm obsessed about customers, and I think the reason why Postability was a huge success and now Rage, I think it's because of that. Everything else kind of falls a little kind of here and there. So if somebody is not happy with the product that we offer, we will go out of our way. We will do anything. It means anything. We offer 100% refund in a consumables product. Nobody in India does that. Right now, nobody. If you open a product and you want to return Rage Coffee, we will take it back, we will get it picked, and we will refund you. And nobody, not even Amazon, nobody offers this service in India what we do. So this is the kind of obsession we have with. If you don't like our product, we don't need your money. But how we want you to look at our company is, yes, I didn't get it. There's in the market that is there for it. So that's how I look at it. We don't need your money if you don't like Rage Coffee. Simple.
Got it. Very interesting. So that brings us to the end of the show. I just quickly went through the questions and I picked up 2 questions that I'm going to ask you guys. So feel free to answer it. These are not timed. Keep them short, but feel free to answer them in any order, whoever wants to go first. So Ruchi asks, how much would you put into content marketing if you're trying to build brand and brand value? Like, what would you do? I think the bigger question is, what would you do in content marketing to build brand? So anybody can answer, go for it.
Okay, I'll answer. I think content marketing is all about relevance, the subjects that people want to hear about, think about, and it does not necessarily have to be just awareness driven. They can also be funny memes. In fact, we tried this experiment, which definitely didn't help our sales, but it definitely got us amazing eyeballs. So we did this, fitness related memes, and we started posting some funny videos about fitness, and you'd be surprised to know that at least 12 to 15 of our videos crossed 1 million views.
Wow.
Within 2 months time period. And then we eventually turned them off because we realized that was not what we wanted to do. It was getting us eyeballs, but we wanted to stick back to awareness. So it depends on what you intend to do. It could be funny content, it could be your take on the market. It could be your take on a subject, and that's about it. It could be funny, it could be emotional, it could be thrill. All these emotions are inbuilt, and so just figure out what emotions you want to play with, what kind of content you want to run, and that's it. And it's always a trial and error.
Got it. Anyone else want to chime in?
I'll just pick it up here. So content marketing, like everything else, think of it like a funnel. Always, as marketers, always think of frameworks and structures, right? So there are three stages to this content marketing funnel. There is awareness, consideration, decision. Some content will help you create awareness about your product and your brand and your problem statements. Some will help people consider whether your product or your problem or your challenges are also relevant to them or not. And the last one will actually help them make a decision. So when you're thinking of content marketing, so exactly what JC said, there are certain content pieces, there are certain videos and graphics and memes and GIFs that go viral. They're helping you create more awareness about either your market or your challenge or your problem statement or your product in the market. That's simply awareness. So expecting to get results from it in terms of ROI, revenue, sales might not be the right thing. What you're trying to do here is get a lot of people aware about your product, and then from there onwards, bring them to the consideration kind of a content. And consideration could actually be more about thought leadership. It could be, again, if you're a B2B company, you could write an article that gets published into Forbes, or you could write an article that gets picked up, or you can have white papers or reports or surveys, right? So I'm going to stop there. So consideration and decision, those three stages, always think of it in that manner.
Totally makes sense. Anyone else want to chime in?
I think I'll just add a very, very small thought here that in today's time, if you're close to your customers, again, the point comes back to how well you understand your segments and your customers. If you understand your consumers and if you understand what their needs are, and creating content in any form, written, video, storytelling in any form works. But I think what really works is if you are adding some value to someone, if you can make them laugh, if you can evoke an emotion, right? That's content well done. If you can make them think, if you can be emotional, if you can make them laugh in that second, in that instant, if you can give them some gyan, some knowledge in that, so see, people are very busy these days. So if you have to understand, your content can only be valuable enough, and it's a lot of it in trial. Like getting to 1 million views is not an easy job, especially for a brand or a company that's focused on very different things. We're not building YouTube channels here. But if it's done thoughtfully, and if you do understand your audience and it does appeal it to them, the chances are that it will get noticed. It will do its job basically.
Got it. Hitarth, do you want to chime in?
Sure. So I would just add to everything else that people have already covered. I think there are a lot of different buckets wherein content marketers can think and align the overall go-to-market strategy for content. It could be a PR related content. It could be content on your blog, on your website, on your inside your app. Your in-app communication can be another piece of bucket that is there. Plus your social and the way your let's say people will discover your product. So that these are maybe some of the broad places where people would discover you as a brand. And now on all of these different buckets, people, I think marketers need to experiment a lot. They need to find the pulse of audience. For example, maybe on a social channel, working on a lot of different topical posts that are there, right? Coming up with things that people are talking about, and that's I think maybe social media marketing 101. But definitely as a brand building exercise, this can definitely help because a lot of different pages like Social Beat, Social Panga, Social Samosa, these guys might be ready to pick up some of your good content and feature it on their pages. So that ways you kind of you build a good brand authority as well as build good brand trust in the beginning of your journey. So I think content across buckets and experimenting what works for you, that should be kind of like a key to crack the content piece and in the branding space.
Got it. Lovely insights. So since this question took a little longer than I expected, I'm going to unfortunately not have to take the next question. But that being said, everybody who's attending, if you liked what you saw, please do share it on social media. Use the hashtag marketingrf. Tell us what you learned, tell us what you liked, and we would love to all hear it. Please feel free to tag all of us. Just to conclude, thank you all the speakers, all the attendees, everybody that has been here for this experience. Wouldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you to all the community partners and every single person that had to play a role in today's event. That being said, do not leave the event because the speakers are going to move to the social